So we have the bucket, bandoliers, waist pouches. Next step is clearly going to be the inner robe. It's a simple build. There's only a couple pieces. It's very easy. Most of this is going to be theory though, because there's a lot more to it than just let's throw these pieces together. It's how you make the shoulder bells and the arm curves and how everything fits together. It's not difficult. I know I say that a lot because none of it really is. I'll show you where I'm at. So this is my buddy Cloud. He and I were in soldier together. He's going to be the stand-in for my model because she's currently unavailable. And there's a couple measurements we need. We need to measure around the arm right here, right? Along the armpit. In this case, it's 25 inches. We need to measure the length plus seam allowance, and in this case it is also another 25 inches. And then you need to measure around the wrist, which is 14. Don't forget to add for seam allowance, but for a 25-inch arm right here, excuse me, Cloud, we are going to make, this is just 2 pieces of Osnaburg folded in half. It's already been cut rough to shape because I want to save myself some time. So sleeves are weird in the US. Western sleeves are weird because they make this what's referred to as a bell. This is, since it's folded in half, 12 and a half, which would make 25. You had the half-inch seam allowance, which gives us our 24 all the way around. And then this is half of the width of the bicep. The gentler the curve, the smoother it's going to lay on the arm. One thing to keep in mind, wherever you jut out like this, you want it at a 90 degree. So where the neckline plunges, you want that at a 90 degree. The shoulder, you want it at a 90 degree. If you don't, it'll make weird points. So when you do a sleeve, this is 25 inches. We add in the seam allowance, it'll be exactly where we need to be. It's a gentle curve. I prefer a straighter along the top, which will make for a flatter shoulder. I probably should curve it a little more. But again, that's this whole piece. The length is 25. We've got a 25-inch curve on both sides, so 12 and a half. And then this is the inseam. This is a baseball sleeve because she wants it to stop here. I prefer to go all the way down, put the arm wraps on, and then bloused up a little bit. I prefer a more baggy look to that. It's personal preference. In this case, it's going to be 3/4 inch or 3/4 length. So we're going to cut the sleeve out, and then we're going to move on to the body. So this is the body, the main bulk of the robe. Now it's Ebenezer style. It just, nightgown just goes over the head. This line here along the shoulder is from the neck to right about where you want the sleeve to start. In this case, it's 7.5 inches. Well, it's 7 inches, ½ inch for seam allowance. This is the same arc that we did on the sleeve. It's 12.5 inches here. Again, we're at 90 degrees everywhere the curve ends. That way we only have to worry about this, the curve here. I don't want, if I continued the curve out, it'd have a weird pucker right here on the sleeve. We want things flat and smooth. The flatter you make it, the easier. From here, this is almost 50 inches. And to get that measurement, arms straight up. Come on, Cloud. Oh, why are you always so difficult? Basically, I had her cross her arms over her head and take a real deep breath. And then I measured across the chest at the widest. I added 4 inches for ease of on and offness. And it gave us these measurements. I'm probably going to end up just taking pictures of this doing a small, medium, and large at some point in time and uploading it, you know, at some point in time. But this is pretty much it. That's your neckline. This is the first measurement we got, and then this is along the chest line, the bust line. And then from there it just flares out. And it goes the full length of the fabric I have, which is 45. It's a 45-inch piece. This is Osnaburg again. I like the texture it creates. It's already got flex and weirdness going on, which I really enjoy. And then of course length is full length. I tried to make the neck as small as possible because the bucket goes over it and then there's a small wrap, but you don't want a huge gap because then, you know, you'll be able to see the body underneath the costume. I don't like that. So we're gonna cut this out and then sew everything together. I'll show you how to do that. One quick side note. I've curved the very bottom because I don't want it to completely fray. These are wheat woven in a grid. So if I keep my cuts in that grid, it's just gonna keep fraying. If I do an edge or a curve like this, it stops fraying when we run out of curve, right? Because the curve dives into the next row and into the next row. Normally that would be hemmed, but this is a Tusken, so I wanted it to be a little more tattered. And this is the easiest way to get a slight tatter without having the whole thing come apart. If you want to keep things straight and you want more fray, put a zigzag stitch, same color thread, about an inch up, just all the way around. That'll let it fray to that point and then stop. This I'm not worried about. This is going to be exactly what I want. The sewing on this is unbelievably simple. We're just going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance here, a zigzag on top. We're going to fold it over and do a top stitch to hold everything in place. That's it. I'm going to breeze through this real quick. Okay, with the right sides facing right sides, we just pin along this edge, and then we do the exact same stitch we did right here. We're just gonna go once all the way around 1/2 inch, zigzag stitch, fold it towards the center, and do a top stitch. If you've played along with the jumpsuit, it's the same as that sleeve. There it is, both sleeves pinned. And we're just gonna sew all the way around and do the thing. That's it. I wish there was a secret. I really do. I wish there was a aha, I know the secret of sewing and I can tell it to you. There isn't one. The secret of sewing is just keep doing it until you're okay with it. That's it. So turn everything inside out. Start pinning at the armpit. Pin armpit to armpit. Then pin all the way to the end of the sleeve, and then all the way back to the end of the hem. Although I have run out of patience for pinning, so I'm just gonna sew. Now we're doing the neckline. I've got two pieces here, identical. I'm going for a 20-inch neck, so I measured up 4 inches. This is the back, this is where there's gonna be Velcro. I measured down 8 just because I like it's just a shape. It goes under everything and it kind of finishes off the neckline. With the Velcro on the back, it'll make sure that there's enough room for the head to get in and it can close nice and tight and not have exposed skin underneath. I measured around, it's 20 inches here. Once you take off the inch for the Velcro and then the ½ inch, it's gonna be about 18 inches. It's a little snugger than I want, but I think it's gonna work perfect for this application. Something to keep in mind about Velcro. The outer robe is monk's cloth or basket weave, whatever it is. The Velcro is gonna stick to it a lot. So try and keep these apart as much as you can. It is what it is though, right? All right, so now that I have two pieces, and these are just scrap, and the shape doesn't really matter. I'm gonna sew here at a ½ inch seam allowance, do a zigzag, fold it flat, and do a top stitch. I thought I had beige Velcro, but I do not. So this is the right side. This is the side that's going to be facing the skin. So we want the fuzzy side to be the side that's facing down. I'm not really going to worry about finishing this seam. All right, I'm going to worry about finishing it. I'm going to do a zigzag all along this edge, then I'm going to fold it over ½ inch. Just because. It's not going to be a large zigzag though. Now I just zigzag this in place. I'm going to go relatively close to the edge. I'm giving myself about 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch at the top and the bottom. Just so when I sew this to the large inner robe, I've got enough room. And we do the same thing to the other side, but we have the this side of the hook and loop on the wrong side of the fabric. And that will go like that. Perfect, right? Now we're going to attach the inner part to the outer part. At this point, I just have the neckline all pinned together. It's the right side to the right side, so when I flip it all out, the wrong sides are on the inside. And I'm just pinned all the way around. And I'm going to do a 1/2 inch stitch all the way around. I'm going to cut this, do a zigzag, flip everything inside or right side out. So it wouldn't be one of my projects if I did make a mistake. Fuzzy side of the Velcro doesn't go on yet. Because once we flip everything over, then it gets stitched in place. But first, with everything flat, we're going to put a cut all the way down. So I'm going to split the back from the neckline to just before the end of probably right about where the Velcro is. That's a good measuring point. I'm going to do a zigzag stitch to close the opening up. And then we flip everything right side out. And same thing on the other side. We're just gonna line this up, put a zigzag stitch across just to close the seams and the edge. So this didn't quite stitch, doesn't matter. It's a Tusken Inner Robe. Nowhere near as important as any of the other stuff we normally stitch. Put a top stitch on this. Now, we put this piece of Velcro back on, and we are done. This is where we are on the Raider. It's a little sleepy. What happens when you don't have a head? It's the inner robe. Didn't take very long, it's very simple. The outer robe's even easier. Just the outer robe, this has a lot to cut off and it's horrible to do, but it's what you need to do. So we'll cover that next week. Right now, not too bad. I like it. Looks pretty good. Everything's all nice and tight. Everything's well covered. Looks like a Tusken Raider. Let's be Tusken Raiders.